Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for Sunday the 29th of September, 2013. Taking a look at the Caribbean Sea. This is where Invest Area 97L is located, right through here. Not very well organized. There is broad cyclonic turning. I think you can see that even without having to speed it up. But a lot of the energy getting pulled out of it to the north and east here. And when you don't bundle the energy, what do you get left with? A signature in the vorticity field that looks like this, where it's all stretched out, and the more energy getting pulled out to the north and east here, it's not able to bundle and look like this, which is Tropical Depression 11. As weak as that is, if we go back to the satellite picture here, there's TD11 right there. At least it has a more bundled energy signature with it at the 5,000 foot level, or 850 millibars in the atmosphere. Bottom line is, when you see this, everything getting stretched out, you know that development is going to be slow at best. So I think what's going to happen, we're going to have a continuation of some heavy rain across portions of the greater Antilles here, Jamaica, then eventually the Caymans and parts of Cuba, and maybe the Yucatan Peninsula, as this batch of moisture generally moves along towards the Gulf of Mexico. And then it'll probably get entrained in this front that's coming through. A lot of that moisture will get pulled up and across Florida, maybe portions of the southeast, and be a big rainmaker instead of a bundled, tightly packed tropical storm or hurricane. It's basically when you have the energy spread out over thousands of miles, you can't bundle it or focus it all around a common center, and therefore you're not going to have much come of it. In fact, if we look at the GFS from 12Z today, this is valid tomorrow morning around 8 a.m. Eastern Time. There's the low center, 1010 millibars or so, not very strong. A few blobs of convection associated with it in the GFS. So not very well organized at all going through time. You see it really doesn't do much over the next couple of days here, moving out to 48 hours into the future. Just not much happening. You see that? No L. You don't see an L in there anymore. They don't paint it in there. The GFS just not seeing this closing off. Very, very light winds right here. Broad cyclonic turning, but that's about it. Nothing else as we go through time. Just doesn't really consolidate. Maybe just a little bit. And I mean, we're really stretching it here out several hours. Well, let me scroll up here, see exactly when this is. They don't put the timestamp at the bottom, unfortunately. Yeah, so this is 75 hours out. Even if you just go through and look to 96 hours, 81, 84, 87, 90, 93, 96. You see in the Gulf of Mexico just a slight curvature of the isobars there, moisture plume coming in. And that's it. So I don't think that this is going to develop. Nothing to worry about with that. Now, looking out ahead, just for a heads up, I guess you would say, as we get further out into time, whatever the correct use of that word is, the Madden-Julian oscillation was looking like it was just going to kind of hang out here over the western Pacific. But now, the global models, the ECMWF here, and I'll show you the GFS in a moment, starting to indicate that it heads back towards Phase 1 and maybe Phase 2, which supports development in the Atlantic Basin. This is the Euro, this is the GFS representation of the MJO over the next couple of weeks. And you can see that more of the GFS ensembles bringing it back into Phase 8 and Phase 1, which would begin to support development in the Western Caribbean, Eastern Pacific. And so we're going to have to watch that as we get to mid-October. That is kind of the last big spike in climatological activity over the past 100 years. Remember, I'll just kind of draw it over here. Hurricane season's very slow, then it ramps up around September 10th, comes down. Then there's that secondary peak that happens around October the 10th. And then it goes away and fades on off towards November. You can tell I've drawn that more than once. So that secondary peak occurs around mid-October, and lo and behold, The MJO looking like it could become more favorable around, you guessed it, mid-October. So we'll keep an eye on this over the next few days as we get closer towards this model verification time. Maybe towards the middle part of the month we'll have a more favorable pattern. And remember, we're not just talking U.S. impacts here. We're also keeping an eye out for Caribbean impacts, Cuba, the Lesser Antilles, Central America, you name it. So far, no major hurricanes have even formed, much less given us any worries in the Atlantic Basin or the Eastern Pacific. Very, very rare to have that happen. Are we going to make it through the entire season without any calamity? We shall see. So far, so good. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. That's all I've got for now. Again, I'm Mark Sept, HurricaneTrack.com. Thanks for watching today's blog video post. It's always a pleasure to produce these for you to enjoy and learn from on Hurricane Pro and HD. I'll be back tomorrow with more.